you know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Okay, so that clip right there is going mega viral right now against Donald Trump, which is crazy. So pretty much what's happening is that Donald Trump held a massive rally at Madison Square Garden, Donald Trump's hometown of New York City. Absolutely packed. Tens of thousands outside of the garden. A lot of people attended. However, out of everything that happened at that event, many people are upset with Tony Hinchcliffe for what he said and what he did, and people are pointing out because of this, now Donald Trump is going to lose the Latino vote and especially the Puerto Rican vote.
It's worth noting that while we showed you that joke about the pile of garbage that comedian made, he also said something else about Latino voters that I can't play because I know a lot of you are probably at the breakfast table with your little kids, and if we played it, you'd have to shut us off.
Who is that, Jackwad? Who is that guy?
Actually, I think that's Tony Hinchcliffe, which is super disappointing. I mean, I don't, he's a comedian. I don't follow this.
Okay, AOC knows exactly who that is. Now, I'm going to be very transparent with you. I am not a Tony Hinchcliffe fan, but I am a fan of freedom of speech. I'm a fan of business, entrepreneurship, and Tony Hinchcliffe, he is a comedian. I'm not the biggest fan of his. However, he has created the largest and probably the most popular road show for comedians. Tony Hinchcliffe has lifted a lot of comedians and made them mega millionaires and started them in the business of comedy and entertainment. So I respect that about Tony. He's all about freedom of speech, and that is why he makes jokes like this. He is a roaster. When you book Tony Hinchcliffe, that is what's going to happen. However, I am not defending Tony for what he said. I am defending Tony for what the left-leaning media always picks and chooses to get mad about.
I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country.
Okay, so this is George Lopez. I know a lot of us haven't seen us in a while, but that is George Lopez. Ironically, he actually made a joke about Mexicans as well very recently, and now people are comparing that, look, the left-leaning media doesn't seem to have a problem with George Lopez making a Mexican joke, but because Tony Hinchcliffe is white, let's go in on him. I'm going to play this George Lopez joke, and in my opinion, this one is probably as worse as the one that Tony said.
Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall, and George Lopez said, you better build it in one day, because if you leave that material out there overnight.
It's worth noting that while we showed you that joke about the pile of garbage that comedian made, he also said something else about Latino voters that I can't play because I know a lot of you are probably at the breakfast table with your little kids, and if we played it, you'd have to shut us off.
And look, this clip out of context, you wouldn't even know who she's talking about, especially if I clipped out the first part about Puerto Ricans. So again, my point is the left-leaning media loves to pick and choose what they're mad about. And guess what? Nobody on the left-leaning media, especially as big as CNN and MSNBC, they didn't talk about this at the Kamala rally. Now, I want to get back to Tim Walz and AOC. I have no idea how they have enough time in the day to watch Donald Trump's rally and react to it. Like, I hardly have any time in the day to even make these videos. Aren't they supposed to be our elected officials making sure we're all safe and good to go? But I want you to see what AOC has to say about all of this, and we're going to use the same standard she uses against their side. So look what she has to say about this.
Calling Puerto Rico floating garbage, know that that's what they think about you. That is exactly, like, look, that's just what they think about you. It's what they think about anyone who makes less money than them. It's what they think about the people who serve them food in a restaurant. It's what they think about the people who...
Okay, I already know some of you are fuming right now if you're still watching this video because you already know what clip I'm about to play as AOC says, look, this is what Republicans, this is what they think about Puerto Ricans, this is what they think about you. Well, AOC, I'm going to use your same standard, and as a lot of us Christians, this is what you guys say about us, the vice president has to say about us.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Okay, so digging into this a little bit more, Tony Hinchcliffe actually did respond to all of this, which is interesting. These people have no sense of humor. Wild that a vice presidential candidate would take time out of his very busy schedule to analyze a joke taken out of context to make it seem racist. I love Puerto Rico and vacation there. I made fun of everyone. Watch the whole set. I'm a comedian, Tim. Might be time to change your tampon. Okay, now this part's going to be funny, and I swear we'll get back to Tony Hinchcliffe on whether or not Donald Trump will now lose the election because of him. Tony Hinchcliffe shared a clip of Don Rickles, who roasted Ronald Reagan. Now, this is going to be funny. I am a massive fan of Don Rickles. I'm not going to play this whole set, but the way that the media is portraying Donald Trump and everything that happened at Madison Square Garden, they would absolutely think Don Rickles is the worst human ever. And by the way, Don Rickles is Jewish. This will all matter here after this clip. You'll see exactly what I mean. Just stick with me.
Be funny.
First black kid I ever saw that'll definitely never play basketball.
Okay, now this is a real clip from MSNBC. This is how they are literally portraying what happened at Madison Square Garden. Ready for this?
That jamboree happening right now, you see it there on your screen, in that place is particularly chilling because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally. A rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage.
In fact, there are many people now calling for MSNBC to actually be banned and to get fined for this because of the absolute misleading and the misinterpretation of everything going on. But again, the irony of MSNBC trying to portray this as a fascist anti-America rally when you had Don Rickles, a very famous Jewish man who hated on Ronald Reagan. They didn't portray him as that. No, I'm going to portray Donald Trump, Tony Hinchcliffe, and everything that happened. By the way, there was a Holocaust survivor who talked at this event, yet MSNBC still portrayed this event as that. Now, as far as did Tony Hinchcliffe lose the election for Donald Trump, obviously this is not a quantifiable number. I cannot go door to door and ask if someone's Puerto Rican and if they're not going to vote for Donald Trump. However, a vast majority of the polls, to include even CNN made a clip saying Donald Trump might actually win the majority vote. A lot of polls, to include Polymarket, which is a betting platform. I don't condone betting. I don't bet myself, but I'm just letting you know that's what they do, just trying to be transparent. These are the stats, 66.4 to 33.7. Again, polls, you never know if they're super accurate or not. However, when one side is super skewed, especially a right-leaning candidate, you're more inclined to think this is a little more accurate. Now look, this is not a Tony Hinchcliffe defense video. The issue that I have and a lot of people have is that the left-leaning media will find one thing, take it out of context, they're able to skew it in a way that makes the right look terrible, and then turn that entire rally into the worst thing ever, and that regular old citizens who attended that rally, they're also getting bashed. The left-leaning media actually creates a very dangerous environment with this division and this split narrative. It's really, really disgusting, and that is why I wanted to make this video. Again, no disrespect to Tony Hinchcliffe, not that he watches my videos, but I'm just saying that is why I'm a little upset about this. I'm also going to be honest here. Tony Hinchcliffe did take a very big risk making that joke. But it doesn't look like Donald Trump's upset about it. It doesn't look like anyone is saying, oh my gosh, we're now going to lose the election. This is an absolute false narrative, and it's not even quantifiable, like I said. You cannot even see whether or not Puerto Ricans are upset about this unless you go door to door and ask them. So anyway, that's the video.